Welcome to Extropy On AIr, the podcast from Extropy Advisors, where we dive into the world of AI, digital transformation, and the future of business. Each episode will bring you perspective from leaders, innovators, and experts across industries, all focused on helping organizations and, more importantly, people thrive in a changing world. Let's get started.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Extropy On AIr. I am Ravit Gutman, the CEO and founder of Extropy, and this is where we have the real conversation on that intersection of finance and technology transformation. No buzzword bingos, no surface level takes, just that discussion that actually matters to people that are trying to transform the right way. We're going into SAP Cloud ERP migration today. So if you're a CFO or a CIO or anywhere near the enterprise finance right now, this topic is probably keeping you up at night. And there's one piece that almost every organization gets wrong. We're going to dig into today to accounts payable and why the calls you make about AP during your migration window will shape how finance function performs for years to come. With that, my guest today is Jason Kurtz, the CEO of Basware, which runs an AP automation and invoice lifecycle management for some of the most complex global enterprises on the planet. Jason has truly that front row seat on what works and what fails and what finance leaders consistently underestimate when it comes to AP. So, Jason, I'm so glad to have you here and welcome to our show.
Thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm not going to ease it up to it. SAP Cloud ERP migrations, that S/4HANA migrations, are a massive program. So years of efforts, hundreds of millions of dollars, cross-functional teams that are all moving at once. And nearly 60% of them run over budget or behind schedule. I don't think that's a rounding error. One of the things I've heard you say many times is that significant part of that reason comes back to accounts payables, that function that almost always gets treated as that afterthought of migration plans. Make the case to why you think that's the mistake that exist on that.
Yeah, it's really a shame, but you said it exactly right, that AP is often the afterthought. And, look, companies are really feeling pressure to make a decision. Like, we got to do this, SAP cloud transformation now. We've got to get started. We've got to get going. We've got this deadline coming in 2027. And really the best thing that companies can be doing is thinking about AP from the beginning. That's the problem, is AP typically isn't in the plan to start, or they are just so limited in terms of involvement. And that's where the opportunity is missed, the opportunity to accelerate time to value, drive tangible value. And what companies are doing is just kind of saying, hey, we'll deal with that later. And it's just moving the pain and the cost and the benefit way down in the cycle till after, years later, when the best practice companies, I think, are doing it up front right from the beginning.
You're right on that. We usually always see they all start with the ERP, with the supply chain, with HR, and AP really gets that last prioritization when that is the key to majority of your data at the enterprise level. And that can give you so much from that.
It's like the most forgotten document with the most data. It's so valuable if companies will just hone in on it.
I agree with that. And that's where even for us here at Extropy, I think starting your digital transformation with AP has always been a practice for us. And making sure that you consider this as part of your SAP migration is huge. So I want to ask, going back to that conversation, I hear a lot of vendors describe on the AP side as a complementary to SAP, but the framing often gets fuzzy fast. So what I like that you always use the term of value accelerator. And I want to understand what that actually means, because for the finance and IT leaders that are listening, the distinction matters at what you're saying when you call Basware that value accelerator for that SAP Cloud ERP.
Yeah. What's really important to think about is that we have proven with over 600 SAP ERP customers who are using Basware for invoice lifecycle management or AP for their AP teams, it is a low risk, high ROI solution. And so like your risk adjusted return of investing in AP automation is phenomenal. Like it's probably the best of anything across that entire end to end system landscape that you might have in your company. So that's the first thing. Start with a low risk, high ROI, proven answer. And we know that AP is that. So when you're dealing with these SAP Cloud ERP transformations, this is, I'd like to say, a once in a generation thing, but it is a big, big investment. It's, as you said, hundreds of millions of dollars investment or hundreds of millions of euros. It takes you years to do. It involves people, hundreds, if not thousands of people across the company. And it's designed, SAP Cloud ERP is designed to run the full enterprise, whether it's supply chain or manufacturing, whatever it is. But and that breadth is a good thing, but also sometimes having a specialist like us who is just proven all we do is the AP part of it, and that there's so much value that can be unlocked in that kind of low risk, high likelihood of success, proven ROI. Start there. As a great example, a lot of companies, at least that we deal with, often are in a multi-ERP environment or multiple instances of ERPs. And that makes it really hard in the middle of this migration because SAP is built to integrate with SAP, right? But solutions like us, and the reality is most enterprise companies have multiple ERPs. And so having a solution that can sit on top of a mixture of, ECC while you're still on-prem, the cloud while you're moving to S/4HANA or the cloud solution, and other ERPs, that's the complexity that we solve for. We sit on top of that and make it easy, and we drive value in a low risk way. Just think of us as the ones that can make that value happen, pay off faster, and have assured ROI that often pays for and is complementary to all the other things you're doing as part of that SAP cloud transformation.
I would agree with that because this is what we're seeing also with our Basware customers today. So as they're looking for, as the part of the migration already exists there and you are trying to bite so much when you're talking about that multi-ERP, when you're looking at multiple ERP infrastructure and being able to actually continue your day-to-day while you're going through this essentially migration process and adding more and more ERP is essentially to the cloud, moving more and more of your ERPs to the cloud. This really gives you that flexibility and as you said, that ROI to actually leverage that transition and continuously making strategic business decision as a whole without really stopping everything and hindering the business. So that's definitely something we've seen from our Basware customers as well, that this really assisted with that strategy as well.
100%. That's what we're here. Like bring us your complexity. We'll make it all just happen for you. That's what we're all about.
Yes. Which is what I love about Basware as well. So here is something I see constantly in my work with our clients. So CFOs and CIOs are often not aligned. I think this is something that for us, we are consistently in that trench mark as well between the CIO and the CFO. And even though they're on the same transformation program, they're optimizing for really different things and speaking different languages. What does this conversation look like when you have to make the case for both of them in the same room?
Yeah, there's no doubt that, CFOs and CIOs, often are in conflict on things. But I think, and what we've seen is that the value acceleration piece that Basware brings is something that everyone can agree on, right? Like CIOs want to consolidate, who their providers are. Great news. We're an SAP partner, right? So they want to have everybody be kind of in that SAP ecosystem, SAP partnership. And they also want a clean core, right? But those are, technical drivers. And we check the boxes on both of those things. Whereas CFOs want, a really efficient and effective AP team, right? They want the lowest possible cost to process an invoice. They want great invoice data in one place, not having to go find it in all kinds of places. And they want to be compliant, right? And not pay fines for missing mandates or falling out of compliance, right? 36% of companies pay regulatory fines on a regular basis because they're not compliant, right? And so there's benefit and value and business value for the CFO. There's alignment and harmonization with SAP and a clean core for the CIOs. And so that's when I think, we're super fortunate that we can bring both of them together and make both of them smile, which is nearly impossible to do, but we can do that. And it's fun for us to be able to do that.
One of the key terms that you use that makes both teams smile is that clean core, definitely. So the whole reason organization go through that pain of migration is to get from under that years of customization debt that they've been going through. So if we're talking about a clean core, a good data foundation, that is that reward that exists at the other side that I think both teams is the one thing that both teams will agree on. And I really want to push on that a bit because when I'm in client conversation, I hear real concern about adding another platform into the mix. I think a lot of times we see a lot of customers that are saying, okay, we are moving to SAP Cloud ERP or S/4HANA, and this is going to be what's going to solve everything. And I want to know, how does a specialist AP layer from your end actually protect that clean core, that data foundation, rather than just becoming another source of complexity?
Yeah.
So I would love to hear that from you.
Yeah. By the way, we're 100% in alignment. The clean core makes tons of sense. It's just hard to do in an ERP environment when you're so broad in terms of all the amazing things you do. Sometimes you need a complementary solution to dig into some of the details in specialized areas. And I'm just going to hit you with a stat just as an example. So we had a customer, big SAP customer, going through their cloud transformation journey. And they were debating exactly the question you thought. Should we just use an SAP solution that's out of the box, or should we use a specialist like Basware? When they did the study, they found that by trying to do it themselves in SAP, they would have over 3,000 customizations just in AP, more than they would having with Basware, which was basically zero. That's the very definition of a non-clean core, is having 3,000 customizations just in AP. So the functionality we have, the tight integration we have through BTP integration with SAP Cloud, that's what makes it better. And when you're dealing with operational complexity and approval hierarchies and supplier-specific rules and cost centers and business units and geography-based issues, that complexity has to live somewhere. There's so much complexity in the workflow in that. And that would require those thousands of customizations in SAP. And so better to put that somewhere else, like Basware, let us digest it because we are built for that complexity. We keep the complexity out of SAP. We keep the customizations out of SAP. And that way you can innovate faster, upgrade faster, all those good things that SAP wants from a clean core and what their customers want from a clean core. So we're really synergistic together in that strategy, helping it come to life. And customers see it over and over. I talked about the fewer customizations, but they see customers see better data because it's all in one place across both SAP and other solutions. And that's what we're really good at. There's customer after customer that would tell you that exact same story. And it just gets better and better. If you start from the beginning with a specialist in this, your data gets better, your benefits get better, you keep innovating faster. That's, I think, a great example of how it could work. We have with 600, we have a lot of joint customers with SAP, and Kion is a great example of this. And they chose Basware to sit on top and be that specialist because each regional rollout, we make it easier as they're rolling it out because we've already designed the template. We've handled the complexity. We're built into the workflow, and they can just move much, much faster with much fewer customizations. It's a win-win for our customers, for SAP Cloud, and for us. It's great.
There's so many compounding benefits when you look at from an AP strategy for that entire invoice lifecycle management, because Basware does handle pretty much everything. And a lot of times, people are just looking at as just processing those invoices. But what's unique and what we see with our Basware customers is the metadata that comes out of those invoices and the amount of additional benefits that you're getting beyond just capturing an invoice and processing it, but true key strategic information that you don't normally get from an ERP, where you're going to get the data at the GL level, the supplier level. Even seeing from procurement team that we have with SAP and Basware is seeing the benefits and the transition those buyers are getting from a system like Basware for them as well.
It's the best data they'll ever have. The invoice data is the best data. There's no question about it. And by having one specialist solution, you get the absolute cleanest, most complete data set, which is what all the stakeholders want.
That is true. That's part of I would say for our listeners, like if you're building the case study right now to get an SAP Cloud, I'm going to say don't look at that AP as a part that will go out into SAP, because really that is really, you're going to lose a lot of the benefits that you're getting from that invoice lifecycle management beside that as well. I do want to ask another question going to that. I always get in the room in front of IT leaders, and integration sounds always great in presentations. Like even for me, like we're always going through different type of discussions and integrations. And I want to talk about when we're looking at SAP ERP Cloud, what does it actually look like to connect with this? Because again, they always hear seamless all the time from different vendors, and every IT leader has different type of war stories. And even for us, for Extropy, the amount of time we heard like, yeah, it's seamless, just a API integration. I really want to hear from you. How seamless is this to connect with SAP Cloud ERP?
Well, in full disclosure, as you know, Ravit, I'm not one who's actually ever built the integration, right? That's not really my skill set. No company on the planet would want me doing that. But here's the real true story about that, right? SAP strategy, as you know, is built upon, from a cloud perspective, BTP integration, right? Like that's the holy grail. And so we are 100% certified native BTP integration. It's available directly from the SAP store. Little ding, 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 little promo there. So it's built on the solution that SAP wants all integration to happen. If you're in your CIO or someone on the CIO's team, you can feel comfortable that we are using the SAP approved public APIs, all of that good stuff. The security, clean core, all of it is happening within Basware. So it is SAP's approved solution for doing it, and we're just a part of it, which is great. And I think that really helps our customers. The other benefit that Basware brings that is really unique and capable is kind of what we talked about, is we can work in the cloud solution while that's already live and in production, while it's in development, and then still be working with ECC and or other ERPs all at the same time through one integration layer. And again, bringing all of AP together on one solution, which is pretty much what every AP organization wants, is one place to work. That's what we do. We sit across all that complexity. And as we say, make it all just happen for them. No matter where you are in that life cycle of getting to one cloud version or cloud plus ECC or cloud plus ECC plus other ERPs using native SAP integration. That's the beauty of what we're talking about.
Yeah. And going back to your first point, I think just knowing that you have the security piece already vetted and compatible is a huge part of it, because I think one of the hardest thing is really they're trying to figure out if it requires a middleware strategy or any type of integration, or what's going to be the load on IT with deploying a system like this, which is normally what every CIO is thinking. It's like, what resource it's going to take from my side. So knowing that Basware is taking a lot of the effort and having that native BTP connector already created simplifies a lot of things and allows you as essentially the solution to work with the AP team just to do all the different modifications that is needed and just naturally connect and remove that load from the IT department, which is huge. Yep. And between customers that are trying to figure out if consolidating all their ERPs is to an SAP Cloud ERP, or even if they are on that SAP ECC that they need to migrate from, having that flexibility is what we see from our customers as well. Having one place that they can continuously work. And more than that, it's being able to, in today's world, acquire different companies and connect them quickly, which is one of the things that I love. Like our customers continuously grow by acquisition and just, we just bought this company, we need to connect this ERP. We can't think of how to get them on our ERP quick enough, but we can get them on Basware quick enough, and then we can work on getting them on the consolidated ERP plan in the future.
Yep, makes total sense. And one, piece of maybe advice we could give our listeners here, your listeners here today is, I think when I talk to finance teams, sometimes they're a little gun shy around bringing another solution. All they hear from their CIO or the folks in the IT is it's SAP, it's SAP, it's SAP. Now, if you tell them Basware's an SAP partner, it's in the SAP store, they're BTP certified. Now it's a totally different conversation, and AP folks and finance folks should feel comfortable and empowered to go have those conversations again with the CIO, because the first thing the CIO is going to say, are they an SAP partner? Are they BTP certified? Are they Clean Core certified? Check, check, check. Yes, all those things. And the conversation just changes. So even if you've tried before to have these conversations and you maybe got shut down, now's the time to try again.
I love that. I'm going to pause here before we get to the topic that everyone are talking about, which is AI, but a quick break here. So because if this conversation is hitting close home to you and you want to know how exactly it works and what we do here at Extropy, if you're in the middle of an SAP migration, if your AP function is essentially underperforming even after a significant investment, or even if you're just trying to figure out how AI and automation actually fit into your ERP, come and talk to us. So we're an advisory firm that is built on that enterprise finance and technology transformation. And what makes us different is that we've been in the implementation seat. So we're not just the advisors who hands you that roadmap and walk away. We work alongside with your team. We bring the practitioner lens and we help you make the right calls on architecture, on the right partner, and sequencing the investment lens.
I'm just going to add to the promo there, Ravit, if you don't mind. Like when I talk to our joint clients, you hit on a word that I think I hear from them is you're practitioners. You've walked a mile in their shoes. So, and they really appreciate that specific domain expertise that you bring. Not only can you do it at that level, but you at a real detailed level, which you guys are amazing at, but then you can also take a step back and think about it from an overall finance transformation. And they really appreciate your ability to be peers of theirs who have done that. So congrats to you and the team.
Thank you, Jason. You heard Jason, CEO of Basware. So really reach us at getextropy.com. And if this show is useful to you, share it with your colleagues or leave a review. It generally helps us keep the conversation at this level. With that, let's get into the AI layer, Jason. And this is really where it gets interesting. I'm very excited for that. What I want to start is I want to ask this carefully because we are in a moment where every platform claims to have AI. We know that already. We have numerous conversations about this as well and how this buzzword is being thrown everywhere. And every buyer is rightfully so skeptical of it. And also is our clients. And I'm going to say sometimes myself as well. So help me cut through that and really talk to me on what makes invoice AI, essentially invoice lifecycle management and AI different. Not in a marketing sense, but in a way on how it performs in real implementations.
If you start with SAP Cloud ERP is good at processing structured financial data. That's what it's designed and built for. But you and I both live in a world of AP where there's a lot of unstructured and a lot of lack of precision that practitioners have to deal with, whether that's unique formats coming in, trying to read PDFs coming in from a variety of different channels. You've got invoices touching multiple entities and business units. You've got PO spend, non-PO spend. Like there's a lot of complexity. And Invoice AI from Basware is designed specifically for the hard stuff, for the complex stuff, because we've been doing this for 41 years now. All we do is AP. We have processed over 2.5 billion invoices in our lifetime, worth over 10 trillion euros in invoice spend. And no one has a data set like that. And I think you and our clients would agree that AI is only as good as the data it's trained on. And having 2.5 billion invoices and growing every day and learning every day from that is what is so important. And that is having that largest proprietary database is what trains our AI, that makes it better every day, that improves the touchless rates for our customers, that makes it easier. We're taking our customers on this journey to 100% touchless, 100% compliant, 100% protected. And that AI is incredibly important. And the good news for SAP customers, because we're BTP certified, all of that data goes back in SAP too, which makes it even better for them. So, just to give you a concrete example, Heidelberg Materials, they deployed our smart coding solution and 88% coding accuracy almost from day one coming back from AI, which reduced, manual touches. Each invoice, if you think about it, and they were processing like 10,000 invoices a month. Every invoice not only usually gets touched once, but it usually on average gets touched 3.7 times. Once it gets touched once, think about 10,000 invoices a month let's just use 80%. That's 8,000 times 3.7. That's nearly 30,000 touches. We just eliminated overnight by using our AI. So think of the value that that provides. And we're just super excited. And that's just one example of the AI that we embed end to end across the platform to make sure that we are always driving more value, right? And I think that's really important. At the end of the day, it's about ROI, and our AI is delivering real ROI for our customers. And what I gave you is just one example.
And that's definitely examples we see from our customers as well as we went through the journey, even before AI even became a thing, really with some of our clients that are on your system, because it's really what's unique about it. In order for you to really get to that level of automation and touchless processing, it's all about how we can take the data that exists on those documents that is unstructured, as you mentioned, as that information that is not part of that core invoice. And definitely we know even here in the US that we don't have the compliance and regulatory and the structured invoices as we were hoping to have. And I'm seeing these results in the US, which is insane, because that's one of the things that we've always knew, like with all the mandates in Europe and how they required and how invoice to perform, it was always, we were able to make a little bit more progress over there with the touchless, but really seeing it more and more in the US as well with the multi ERPs and from your system. It's been phenomenal. And really touching on compliance, which is where I see clients get blindsided more than anywhere else. So they think they've handled it essentially at go live many, many times. And then essentially a little bit time passes and a new mandate drops 6 months later. And they're back at that emergency mode of making sure that they're able to hit a certain deadline. How does that, I would like to share, like I said, is something that we leverage Basware continuously with our customer, that continuous compliance actually work in practice, and how does it stay out of that SAP core and really the true benefits for our SAP customers?
Yeah. Well, I have a bunch of thoughts on this one because it is so important to our customers. One is maybe going back to something we talked about earlier, which is planning for these SAP cloud transformations, right? These compliance mandates aren't often, because AP isn't at the table, they don't even think about all these mandates that are coming online country by country. So the mandates don't stop coming and evolving just because you're in the middle of an SAP cloud transformation, right? Like cloud ERP transformation or S/4HANA migration, like they're happening all the time. And so what we see often from prospective customers in particular is they haven't thought about how these compliance mandates fit into their SAP cloud journey. And so I think it's really important to have that. That's why AP needs to have that seat at the table. We didn't talk about that earlier. But look, I would say because there are over 100 of these compliance mandates around the world, because once they start, they keep changing and evolving over time. Basware's approach is to continuously be updating and following those as well. We do updates quarterly on all of the new mandate changes and requirements. We stay on top of that. We deliver not only that, but also fraud detection improvements and AI improvements all the time. And I think that's really important to know, is that it's tough for our customers, and I know you hear it from yours as well, to monitor all that's going on from a compliance perspective. But don't worry, again, Basware makes it all just happen because we got a team of 30 people who that's all they do. They're monitoring and watching for these mandates all over the world, what's coming, what's changing, and making sure that that's built into our product. And we've even got people who help some of the countries in the past write these mandates. So they are true experts in the space. And so I would just say, an example of the complexity, we have customers like NG, the French energy company, that they're managing 900 legal entities, processing over 3 million invoices a year.
Wow.
All while doing SAP Cloud ERP journey, but they use Basware to manage the compliance. They use Basware to manage the AP or invoice lifecycle management piece. And the benefit, like we've been talking about, is as an example, their auto reconciliation rate grew from 20% pre-Basware to over 80% as they've gone live, right? And dealing with all the mandates that they operate in around the world. So I think that's the key is, again, you don't want to have to deal with the fact that all these compliance mandates are coming online and then they're changing constantly. You want to deal with, that's the tons of customizations in SAP to do that and to handle that and to stay on top of that. No, I would say let Basware handle that complexity, keep the SAP core super clean. That's why, on a compliance perspective, it's particularly important to be thinking about this up front.
This goes back to that value accelerator delivery term that
Yep.
is so important, because even for us, like when we work with a customer that is trying to figure out what is the right partner for them, immediately when we know that they in either currently or in their path are going to be in a region where we have all these type of mandates, choosing the right partner that can actually guide you through them is definitely part of how we are guiding the selections, and where Basware has been a huge value for us to be better advisors as well, because
Right.
there's a lot of companies that are doing all the mandates, but actually having that map then, and someone that is proactively telling you, okay, this is coming up, this changes, this is what you need to do, and really just going to your portal and seeing all that information that is so valuable for us to be as advisors on how to even handle that with for our customers has been something that not only really helped the AP deal with this, it's also been from a tax department, from IT, just to have that place where they can go and understand better how to actually approach all of this. And it is unfortunate that it's one of the things that are overlooked when you're looking at that overall ERP strategy, because it is a pain point and a big cost element as well for these teams.
Yeah, it's just too many companies, I think, treat compliance as a cost and not an opportunity to reimagine their processes and how they capture data and the benefit it can drive for them. And they miss not only the benefits of standardizing and having compliant invoicing, but also, and then they have fines, but then they also can't even launch the new products or capabilities they want in a new market if they're not compliant. So they lose revenue as well. It can be a double or triple whammy, and we try and help our customers avoid that and make sure they're doing compliant invoice lifecycle management from day one.
This is part of a shift that I've been trying to push for many years, looking at AP as a profit center, because there is so many opportunities for AP to become a profit center. And with the right invoice lifecycle management tool, it is that. Is it from a compliance standpoint, from the missed early payment discount, even from virtual payments and any type of strategy that exists in invoice lifecycle management? And that's a big part of it as well.
Absolutely, 100%.
So with that, I do want to talk a little bit about timing, because I hear this tension all the time from our finance leaders, and there's a real instinct to get the ERP right first and add the specialist layer later. I think this is a conversation I've been all the way part to the Gartner report of the post ERP era and how does it look. And we have been saying the opposite for a long time, that waiting becomes even riskier. So I would like if you can walk me through the why from your end.
Well, I would tell you it's always a good time to choose to work with Basware. So no matter when you do it, it's a great time, and to work with Extropy, our favorite partner. So there's never a bad time to do that. So let's be clear on that. But in all seriousness, to answer your question, look, can you implement a specialist like us after the fact? Yes, it happens, right? But is that the best time to do it? No, because it really gets back to that value realization that we talked about before, and the value acceleration. Like when I talk to, CIOs or heads of digital transformation or the people running these SAP cloud transformations, they're looking for the ROI. They need the ROI, and we can help them with that. Let us help you complement that by bringing the ROI sooner and the business case sooner. And so I would argue, and I think what we've seen many customers do it, is the right time to do it, the best time to do it is actually just as you're starting to plan your SAP cloud transformation. That's the right moment in time, because you can think about a world where we are helping keep that clean core. We are helping drive value. We are helping de-risk your SAP cloud transformation journey. That's the perfect time to do it. Again, we'll help you any point in the time, but I think that's the optimal point. It makes your SAP cloud transformation easier, less costly, less expensive, less complex, and delivers value right away. And I think that's the beauty of what many of our customers are doing. As soon as we start thinking about planning, that's the time we're going to go implement.
And I agree with that. And I think just bringing AP to the table and building that use case up front, I think that's a huge part of this, because AP is not part of the discussion. too many time on this. That's where I would say, even personally for me, we've been working for many teams to get those people into the right rooms to be part of that strategy. And most of the times it happened because of the compliance piece that just came more and more to the table, and the risks that exist and the fines that exist around that. And now knowing that we're able to actually build, like I said, a whole use case for us to look at our ECC strategy and the migration plan and actually have those value drivers from AP for that is huge. And that's definitely something I'm going to take away from here as well, as we're talking to some of our SAP customers as well. Now, going back to compliance, and again, I do want to say, in my experience, organization really always treat compliance as a built-in strategy rather than something they bolt on after the fact. They move faster, essentially, when it comes to the compliance across the board. But how much does the AP architecture conversation at the executive level is actually a compliance risk conversation?
Well, I think when we talk to our customers, compliance is a forcing mechanism. Companies have to do it. They don't have a choice. These e-invoice mandates, as we talked about, they don't wait for ERP migrations. They don't wait for your SAP, customizations to take hold. They don't wait for an SAP upgrade. You have to do it now. Organizations that think about the built-in capabilities of Basware really get a lot of value out of it, right? Because we embed compliance into all of our workflows and processes, into the core of what we do. And as we talked about, when a new mandate hits, it's in there, right? And finance is ready because we've been doing the work. We've been getting it ready. We've been making sure we're going to be compliant with each of the mandates, versus if you have to try and do it in your SAP ERP system, that could involve, customization, which is going to be costly for the long term. It could take time, right? It might not have been on the IT roadmap for the projects they were going to do. You run a much higher risk of, I think, cost and missing compliance deadlines and fines when you try and do it yourself in an ERP versus keeping that compliance layer separate with a solution that's compliance as a service and always on and always updating what you need to have.
That's something that we've saw also that potentially tempered a lot of times when they're looking at market expansion. And it's not something that it's an IT problem. It's a risk that they're looking at. And having that partner that allows you to expand properly is huge.
It's shocking to me. We did this study and it said that 56% of companies out there, clearly they're not all Basware customers, because they wouldn't have this issue. But 56% of companies say they've missed invoicing deadlines, and that's, these invoice mandates, and that's impeded their market expansion. So as you said, it's not an IT problem. That's a revenue problem. That's a growth problem. And it's completely, unnecessary to be in that situation when you've got partners like Extropy and Basware who can make it all just happen for you.
Indeed. So with that, I would say let's land this. If someone is listening right now and they're in the middle of it, really, they're deep in that SAP program, they're in mid-migration, what's the single most important thing they can do in the next 30 days?
Call you or I, right? Like get Basware. What else is there? No. Obviously, I would say that. You would probably say that. But look, I think it's take a step back, right? And ask yourself a question, right? Is what we're doing, is the workflow that we're building today something that is better handled somewhere else? Ask an honest question about that, right? And if the answer is yes, and you can protect your clean core and you can accelerate your ROI and you can avoid compliance issues, then I think you almost have a fiduciary responsibility to your business to at least ask the question and take a look, right? And I would just say, do it now. Don't keep waiting. Better to go ahead and not wait till the end. And then also think about the value of a single source of great data, whether you have structured or unstructured data, what that can mean, the intelligence that can bring to your business on supplier health, cash flow, procurement, fraud, all of that stuff. Take a step back, ask that question. I think that's really what I would encourage folks to do.
Get that AP architecture to the table, get that AP person to discuss as part of the workflow 100%, because invoice lifecycle management has so much benefits to this use case. You hit also supplier health, which is a huge thing that we're seeing coming up more and more as well.
Yeah, I just encourage, that was the question. And then what I would say as a mindset is just think about how Basware complements SAP. It makes it better. There's more ROI, there's less compliance risk, it's clean core, right? 1+1=3. And then when you add Extropy, it's 1+1+1 equals like a million, right? So there you go. That's how you should think about it.
I love this, Jason. So I'm going to say what I'm taking away from this conversation is really that SAP migration is a rare moment where really the condition for real change actually exists at that times. Really, we know that the budget is there, the organizational appetite is there, and the decisions you make is that window that will shape how your finance operation is going to look for the next decades. AP is not that back office detail in that moment. It's if that true foundational architecture call that needs to happen. So I really appreciate you making that so clear for all of our listeners. And that window is real. So don't let it close, please. Beside that,
Excellent.
Jason.
I couldn't agree more. 100%. How you said it exactly right. Take advantage of the opportunity. Now is that opportunity to make your AP organization the best it can possibly be, and be a huge value lever, and even a revenue center for your business, or a profit center for your business. Now is the time. Take advantage of it.
Basware alongside with SAP, that combination is something that we've seen continuously successful for our customers, between getting those high touchless rates, a clean core SAP data, and really getting that compliance for over 190 countries that they're doing these type of migrations. That's a wrap for today's episode on Extropy On AIr. Jason, thank you. You brought the kind of clarity that on this conversation that finance leaders are generally need right now. So AP is that strategic decision and not an afterthought. And the migration window is what the decision gets made or missed. And we want to help you with that. So again, if today sparked something for you, a question about your SAP journey or your AP architecture, or where your transformation actually stands, I want to hear from you. So come find us at getextropy.com, and we're always here for any type of real conversation. And if this episode was worth your time, pay it forward, please. Share it with your colleagues or anyone who's navigating through any type of a migration right now, or leave a review or subscribe wherever you listen. We're everywhere. So every one of those actions will help us keep those conversations real. And until next time, I'm Ravit Gutman at Extropy, and we believe that transformation done right changes everything. So let's keep moving it forward and make sure to transform forward. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to Extropy On AIr. We hope you found today's conversation insightful and inspiring. Be sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode, and connect with us at Extropy Advisors to continue the conversation on AI and digital transformation. Until next time, I'm Kevin Zirkle, and this has been Extropy On AIr.